crank done. Get a better look at it over here in the light. I know that last video, dark over there. Didn't have power for a few days, so I forgot to charge my battery light over there. But yeah, look at this sucker. She got hot. To melt them that bad, that was pretty good. So put a Pro X rod in it. Good old made in Japan. These are the best rods, I think anyway. They got good oil slots all the way around, a big center one. So yeah, put some good used stuffers in it. I got it trued to less than 1/1000th out here, so it's perfect here. So it's really trued. It was a good one, didn't take very long. So after you do a bunch of them, you get better at it anyway, but a little bit of a science, which way to hit it and all that, but figure it out. So here's a crank I did a few days ago. It's a Hot Rods 125 crank. I took it apart, added some oil slots around the outside. It didn't have them there. It only had them at here and then in the back. I actually opened them up a little bit too. That one's kind of big, but should get oil now. And them Hot Rods cranks are okay. If you're a serious racer, wouldn't recommend them. I think with that mod though, I think they would hold up like an OEM one, or one built with a Pro X rod. The IMS rods are a little bit cheaper. The Royal, they're kind of like these too. So for cheap rods, they seem pretty good. I'd use them. But I like to use the Pro X rods in an OEM crank anyway. But yeah, there's some other rods. I don't like the YZ250 or the Hot Rods, I know Wozner's good stuff, but their rod is like a Hot Rods and a YZ250 rod. They don't have the slots, but I know Wozner's good stuff, made in Germany, but I wouldn't use the rods. I'm sure they're fine. It's just my opinion. I like to see the oil slots around the outside too, to keep them thrust washers good and lubed up, and keep things lubed from getting hot and burning up. I mean, if you got air leak, you're sucking dirt. Dirt's the main thing that starts these. Dirty air filter. This is the first place the dirt comes, through the intake, right to the big end bearing. So, air leak. Just, these engines don't last forever. They get old. The bearings get a little play. The seals get wore out. They start leaking a little bit. It just gradually happens. You don't notice it. So, it's always good to split them apart. A lot of times the cranks are still good, even with hundreds of hours on them. And just some new crank bearing seals does a big difference for an old whipped out engine, especially if you're gonna do a top end, because a lot of times people put top ends on and then it's too much for the old bottom, and then they have problems. The bearing starts coming apart. Nice and tight. If you can ever twist one of these, like if it twists like that, usually that means the cage is broken in there. So yeah, I got 19 thousandths feeler gauge. I like to put them about 18, 19. I believe the OEM spec is 16 to 30 or something, so I figure 18, 19, around 20 is pretty good. You don't want it too tight, then oil's not going to get in there, and too loose, it's going to rub the cases. So it has to be within 59, almost 60 millimeters, I think this one was. I haven't measured it. It should be good with this clearance. Close enough anyway. But yeah, so that was Wednesday morning crank rebuild. This is one that if you guys ever get on Thumper Talk, YZ Doc, good guy, sent me this donor crank to rebuild. So yeah, I've been on there for a few years. I'm Moto X367. If you guys you'll see me on the two-stroke forums. But help a lot of people out. Yeah. Well, you guys have a good day. I got some other stuff to do. Later.